Hello everybody, this is FeetVlog, and this is FeetVlog number 22, entitled The Rooney Rule. For those of you who follow the NFL, knows that there is this thing called the Rooney Rule that they installed back in 2003, which basically says that for any head coaching job or for any high-end management job within the NFL, you have to consider a racial ethnic minority. You have to interview one before you can do your ultimate hiring. It doesn't require you to hire a minority, it just requires you to interview one, which, when you think about it on the surface at least, sounds pretty reasonable. Prior to this rule, about 6% of the NFL was minority. But after the rule, I believe it went up to about 22% of those positions are now held by minorities. Like I said, on the surface, this rule feels good and has been good. But I do have my concerns about this rule. One has to do with the fact that we are becoming a more multiracial, multicultural country. So it becomes a matter of who is a minority. You know, I guess if you are clearly a black person or clearly an Asian person, then interviewing such a person would be a fulfillment of that rule. But let's say for the moment, let's say for example that I'm a black person, for the record, for those of you who don't know. But let's say if I had a white father and a biracial mother, a mom who's half black, half white, that would make me 25% black. Would that fulfill the Rooney Rule if I was to be interviewed for a position? Could they say that I am a minority because they interviewed somebody who is 25% black, even though I look white? Because the white genes, if you will, would be dominant. I guess they would say that you qualify as being Caucasian, you know. But what happens if within the next 20 years or so, what happens if white people become a minority? Not that there's, you know, I mean, but then you should be able to interview anybody, because everybody would be a minority. Even though the program was obviously meant to help people who are either black or Asian, Hispanic, whatever. But there's another concern that I have, and that is that, you know, when a team's owner wants somebody, and that person is not a minority, then they have to interview somebody to fulfill that rule so that they can hire the person that they really want. So it becomes kind of awkward, in my opinion, in that case. In that case, you're being used. You're being used. You're not being seriously considered. If somebody wanted me to interview to fulfill that rule, not because they really wanted me, but they just, like I said, just to fulfill that rule, I wouldn't want to do it. And I don't think a self-respecting person should want to do it. If you want me, you want to talk to me because you believe that I could conceivably run your organization and run it properly. You know? I don't want to be thought of as, oh, I just need to fulfill a rule, you know, so that I can get to who I really want. Now, I'll tell you this, as a capitalist, however, I would not be against, I would not be against being paid an interview fee. You know, if you're not going to seriously consider me, you just need me to fulfill a rule, then I expect a fee from you. I expect you to pay me a fee for the interview. so that you can have the guy who you really want. But without some type of compensation of that nature, I would not want to be considered in any way, because I am not aiming to be used just so that you can have the guy you really want. I use as an example, I will use the issue with the Seattle Seahawks. They want Pete Carroll, but Pete Carroll's a white guy, so they need to interview a minority. So I believe they got some minority, I forget who it is that they got to interview, and they went through the process to see if this guy would qualify as having fulfilled the Rooney Rule, the interview, the quote-unquote interview, because I don't, for all we know, this interview might not have even occurred, but just, but does this person fulfill the Rooney Rule? And from what I understand, it was decided that it did. But if you're not going to be seriously considered and you're a minority, please don't take the job, okay? I mean, don't take the interview. They're not offering you really the job. They have somebody else in mind. You're just there to fulfill a rule, and that's just not cool, in my opinion. Interview me because you really want me, or you really want to consider me, and the Rooney Rule happens to be fulfilled by it. But that's where I stand. So, leave comments. Tell me how you guys out there in YouTube land out there, how do you feel? All right then. Thanks, guys. Bye.